When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like aloe or Skims, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
This is a mini meditation guided by Bombas. Repeat after me. I'm comfy, comfy. I'm cozy, cozy. I have 0 blisters on my toes, blisters. And that's because I wear Bombas, the softest socks, underwear, and t-shirts that give back. One purchased equals one donated. Now go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.
Happy trade deadline eve, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. It's almost that time of year. It is that time of year because today's show is going to be crazy because between now and, I don't know, 3:30
Let's give
time,
ourselves an hour. There's
going to be time. So here's how we're going to do it. I've structured it down. Here's the schedule of how we're going to do today's episode. There's a lot happening today, so let's get down to it. First things first is I'm going to give Neil the floor because we had a clip go viral and I wanted to give him the chance to respond, number one. Number two is we're going to get everybody quickly up to date on news that has happened within the last hour that's going to be taken note of. Yep. We'll then get into Flames talk with them taking on Philadelphia on Tuesday and getting a big win. We'll get into that. Take a bit of a break. We'll talk about tonight's game in Dallas. Other news that possibly comes up throughout that. And then after we're done talking about Dallas, we're going to look back at some of the trades that happened today. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. So I got to be like a little moderator today just because I feel like we have to stay on track a little.
That's what he's going to be like tomorrow when we go live.
That's exactly what it's going to be like tomorrow. For those of you who don't know, we're going to be live at 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning on the THPN channel. I looked at last year's numbers actually for the deadline. They were phenomenal. Yeah. They were really well.
It's going to be fun.
Should be a good day tomorrow. Absolutely.
I'm excited.
Okay. So first things first, I feel bad because I kind of put Neil in the spotlight a little bit with that clip. And unfortunately, I put out the full clip of his take on Instagram. For some reason, it wouldn't let me upload the full thing on Twitter, X, whatever. So I tried to get like the meat and potatoes of it. You know what I mean? Wasn't very well received by Flames fans. We'll just say that. It's great. Yeah. Traffic and interaction. That was the best part.
100%.
So my very quick thing about it, looking back on that take, Neil, I think the only thing that I'm going to disagree with was your take on like between 5, like losing it between 5 and 7, if you know what I mean, right? Like for those of you who are listening and saw that clip, that's me. Other than that, floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you to everybody that definitely felt like that they wanted to express their opinion. Some had creative ways of telling me essentially to go screw.
Fuck off.
I think one person said, "I don't know you, and I will continue to not know who you are." And I'm like, well, now you do know who I am because you're commenting on this post. So really, like, I think maybe like, and even what was it? Sea of Red retweeted it. Like, I don't know
who we love, by the way.
Right. No, of course. Of course. Maybe it's just because I'm not, focusing on the Flames as much as
That's
everyone else
okay. That's
else is.
okay.
Maybe I'm more of an outsider looking in. But I don't really take back anything that I said. I mean, first and foremost, I didn't say anything offensive to anybody. I simply just made a point to say,
It's a very passionate discussion because
yeah.
of where they're at.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I remember, and you know about this. Not too long ago, I made a post from Devil's State of Mind covering the Devils about I wanted to get kind of people's feelings on like Jesper Bratt because it just kind of feels like at times that there's like the people that are like pro Jesper Bratt, and then there are people who are like tired of like the undersized
Hearing
forward
it.
that can't stay healthy. And clearly, I got a lot of backlash from that one. Lot of backlash.
But that
So
was more of an open discussion. That's why
it
I
was
was
more of an
being
open discussion. A lot of people said that it was clickbait because I was just trying to get attention. I'm like, that wasn't really my intention, but at the same time, it's Twitter and it's not worth explaining myself.
and it did, to be honest with you.
It did. And with this, my whole thing was simply, if I don't really want to consider myself defending myself here, but the really what I was trying to explain was that in certain situations, actually in a lot of situations, it might be the better part of valor to make an attempt to make a run if you're in this position, because right now the Flames are in just like a really tricky spot where selling makes sense, but also not selling makes sense. And you don't want to get stuck in that weird middle.
You can make an argument for all four phases where selling makes
Right.
sense, not selling makes sense, buying makes
Probably
sense, and
makes
so on.
sense and not right. And look, I'll keep my opinion the same. Is that I would prefer to see the Flames make a run and get into the playoffs and see what happens because I think for the young core that they have, I think it's necessary. However, I also understand completely that in situations where you're not at the level of being a Stanley Cup contender, I can understand wanting to try to get as high of a pick. I will say this, however. This is not really that strong of a draft class. That's something I feel like that just should just be kept in mind. And again, as we all know, it's not a guarantee that whomever the Flames get is going to end up being the guy, somebody that ends up being, great.
We've seen flops before.
Yeah, I see flops every year. Every year there's guys that had expectations. I look back to that 2020 draft, top 10. Look at the amount of guys that are not like producing at that level. I think the biggest one has to be Alexander Holtz, who was taken 6th overall
Even
before
then,
like Marco Rossi. And it didn't work out in New Jersey, and now he's playing in the minor leagues for Vegas. I mean, it's just that's how this stuff goes. So look, I love it. Flames Nation has been nothing but great to me, since I started, being involved, and I love the passion. I love the passion either way, because it shows that the fan base cares. And it's a different experience for me dealing with a Canadian fan base as opposed to what I'm used to dealing with the Devils fan base. And believe me, I've had to calm people down just literally in the last 30 minutes about, and we'll get into that with the Devils a little bit. But overall, I think it's still, I find it a successful video. It's
I know,
a lot of people. Hey, a lot of people know who we are now, and mostly me. Not tooting my own horn, but they know who the hell I am.
So I'll just say this, and then we'll move.
Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad about the video. I'm not upset.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
I was shocked when you messaged me because I
was
didn't
like,
look,
I was like, go look.
and you were like, "Go look," and I'm just like, "Okay, I'm sorry." And I think one of my friends, who's like a Devils fan, and he knows that I do this podcast, he was like, "What the fuck did you say?"
What happened?
And I said, "Think about it," and like I gave him an example from a Devils perspective, and he's like, "Oh God."
Yeah. So.
And I'm not even verified on Twitter, and I blew up. So there you go.
Right. Sorry, I'm just plugging in my phone. I'll just say this and then move on.
We're going to be looking at our phone. By the way, both of us are going to be like looking at our phones when each one is talking because we're going to be like, let's see if anything happens while I'm talking.
Nothing's going to happen here in the next hour.
Yeah,
I'll just say this and then we'll move on. I wanted to go over some of the stuff that the recent transactions that kind of just happened as we're doing this. And maybe you see some new ones too as well. So I'll just say this. It's a very passionate fan base. No shit, Kyle, right? I've seen it for the last since October, but it's true, right? And to be more specific, they're passionate because they want change, right? I've been with this team been a fan of this team since probably 05, 06, give or take, right?
Right.
So I understand the frustration. I get it. I understand the mucky middle conversation. I get all of it. I think it also like as I'm learning more and more and more, you learn more about the right thing to do, not the right thing to do in terms of selling guys and buying guys, the deadline, all that stuff, and why wait, why not wait, whatever, right? So, and I get it, and I get why they're like this because they are passionate for change, right? The only thing I'm going to say is that I'm kind of tired of the conversation a little bit because they're frustrated at almost like seemingly, Murray Edwards, number one, who we've said before needs to go as the owner. I think it's time for a change. And whether or not he goes is going to be, that's a long-term discussion.
It's a long-term thing for sure. Right? Yeah.
So I have my faith in Craig Conroy. That's all that needs to be said.
Yeah.
You can think
I have all
that you want to about selling the guys now. We've seen it within the last 24 hours. Oh, it's a seller's market, right? And we'll get into that later. It's a huge seller's market, right?
It's a seller's market.
And I get it. But also, you don't know what's happening behind closed doors, right? There might be teams calling about Blake Coleman, but the package just isn't there, right? It might be a seller's market, but they're not getting him for the right price. So you don't truly know, right? Sure. And eventually it can come out, right? Yeah. Eventually. Or we'll never know, right? But I'm tired of the discussion just because I have all the faith in Craig Conroy. I've put my faith into him because what he has done is he's already overhauled this team a fair amount, gotten a pretty decent return on, I would argue, the majority of them. Maybe some other ones are questionable, like the Hanifin Miromanov one. There's questionable ones out there, right? For sure. So I get it. And I think he's done a tremendous job overhauling and coming in at like a weird time, right? And just overhauling and doing all that stuff, right? So going into tomorrow's deadline and even going into the off season, I have full faith in him because I don't know where else to turn. I have faith in Ryan Huska because the culture inside that locker room, I've seen it now firsthand that it's completely changed. And there's a lot of excitement.
Culture goes a long way.
And it does go a long way. Hence why, despite what people say, how poorly this team's been offensively this year and maybe defensively as well, they're in a playoff spot, right? And that for me, like, as a fan, I don't care. It's exciting. I want to be in the playoffs. I don't want to. Yeah, you could be in the mucky middle and miss the playoffs. Screw it. Like,
someone else just commented on the video, by the way. I don't care. So we'd be lucky to lose in 5.
Yeah. Whatever. And you know what? Fine. If that's the case, then that's the case. It is what it is.
You still won a playoff game.
We've seen weird shit happen all the time in the playoffs. We've seen 100%. It all the time, right? So I'd rather be in, right? Rather just be in and have it. And like I even said it at the beginning of the year where I just want to see Flames playoff hockey. I want to see them at home again in front of the Sea of Red, all that stuff. And I saw the comments too, where it's like, oh, well, is it worth it getting the shit kicked out of you in 5 or 6 games? You know what? So be it, right? If that's the route they want to go, then fine. I'm all for it. If the route they want to go is selling this deadline, then I'm all for it too, right? Why? Because I have faith in Craig Conroy. Because I have nowhere else to turn my faith to, right? Can't look at the owner right now because everybody wants him gone. We all know that. I'm in the same boat, right? But we're kind of wasting our breath at this point with a lot of Flames fans. And I'm just getting sick of seeing so many different thoughts and opinions. And I've seen every single side of it where why don't you just sit back and see what happens? because that's all you
Great.
can do, right? And you can be passionate about it and you can make all these arguments, but there's no point. You might as well sit back and watch the show.
And I think another thing just to keep in mind, and this may not, make anyone feel any better that disagrees with, certainly what I had to say. The Flames have multiple first round picks in this draft. So, I mean, it's not like that. It's not like the Flames, yeah, I mean, it's not like the Flames are going to go into it without, without multiple opportunities in the first round to get some guys. And I think
what? And sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're fine.
Let's get into it, actually.
Sure, absolutely.
Because it's your Devils involved in this, right?
Of course.
Of course. Why wouldn't it be? It wouldn't be any other way. So you lose Jack Hughes, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, that first round pick for the Flames becomes a lot more appetizing. In your mind,
on paper,
how far, where do you see that team ending up? And where they end up is where the Flames will end up picking.
That's a good question. And I think you're the first person that's asked me on a podcast so far, like, where did the Devils go from here? I said it last night. I was on Instagram Live.
Show, I know.
The way that I look at
it relates in a big way.
It does relate. Yeah, and Flames fans want to hear this. Like, I'm being sincere. Like, you want to hear this. I said it from the Devils' perspective. It makes zero sense for this team to pack it in. From just the fact that you don't even have first round picks. So if you tank, that just means the Flames, which would be great for the Flames, would just get a higher pick. Mm-hmm. So there's no incentive there. Now, where do the Devils go? Yeah, go ahead.
Is it unprotected or protected?
I can't remember. Actually, it is top 10 protected.
Oh, it is top 10 protected. Okay.
Yeah, I believe it is.
I'll look at it. Going. Yeah,
which again, it's not happening with that situation. In my opinion, it's not happening.
Okay. I don't either.
I think my answer to that question will be more clear by the end of tomorrow, because obviously the Devils already made a move today, and we'll get into that and other moves that have happened so far. But the Devils clearly have made it known that they are not going to use Jack Hughes being out for the year as a reason not to still go and get into the playoffs. This team, the Devils, are still a fairly talented team. They have had some bad luck for the last couple of months with scoring, and it'll be really interesting to see what they can add at the deadline, from now until the deadline from the forward standpoint. I'll give my opinion on the Dumoulin trade in a little bit, because I think that there's something a lot bigger there than people are realizing as to why the Devils made that move. But I think from the Flames' perspective, I wouldn't get my hopes up that the Devils pick is going to drop dramatically. I think you still end up getting a middle of the first round pick, because at worst for the Devils, I believe, is that they are a first round exit. At best, I believe that this is a team that can make a run to the conference finals in a surprising way, because the Devils still have a very strong defense, and to the help of the Calgary Flames, they have a very strong number one goaltender, and they are currently third in the NHL in goals given up. And as you and I both know, when the playoffs get around, goals are a lot hard to come by anyway. So we'll see.
And confirm, it is top 10 protected, just to confirm.
Right. So in theory, yes, could the Devils tank and get a higher pick? Yes. It just means that the 2025 pick just becomes a 2026 pick, which makes then interestingly enough, it could prevent the Devils from doing some things at this deadline, but I don't believe that to be the case. We'll see.
So then hear this scenario then, okay?
Sure.
You have, if the Flames finish outside the bottom 10, right? The pick would then be taken by Montreal, right?
Right.
And the Flames get to keep their 2026.
Right.
If by some miracle the Devils get in the lottery and get inside that bottom 10, the Flames would have 3 first-round picks next year.
They would, and I think that, and look, I'm not a draft expert by any stretch of the imagination. I do not know what's coming in 2026. Quite frankly, I'm not really sure what's coming down in June of this year because I'm very not into the draft. That would be someone you'd have to ask someone else.
And that's the thing too, like where Flames fans are pissed. It's like, okay, so yeah, you'll lose your pick, but on the upside, sorry, Neil, that the Devils may or may not slide, who knows, right?
Yeah.
That pick could realistically be in the ballpark of where Calgary is currently. So you're not really losing a first round pick.
So then what did you really lose at the end of the day? Nothing.
Right.
You've lost nothing. And
You
I
kind
think
of made it
that's
up a little bit. You made it up a little bit, number one. And number two, you get to still keep your pick next year, right? Because if you finish in that bottom 10, you're going to give it away to Montreal unprotected next year. And who knows what that team looks. Who knows what the Flames look like next year? We don't know.
And who knows? Anyway. And I think that at the end of the day, the Flames are obviously not going to be concerned about that. They're going to focus on it once they know. Once they know what has happened, they can work on it. But I think the reality of it is there are Flames fans out there that are like you and I that would really love to see this team make a run into the playoffs. And I think that there's a way to I believe that there's a direction to get there. And it does start tonight. It starts tonight.
Starts definitely tonight.
This is the playoff push. You're down to the last 20-ish games of the year.
Yes.
Who says that you can't do it? Look, if Vancouver can have an unreal year like they did last year, I'm not saying obviously the Flames are going to go on a run like that, but it just proves that things can happen. It's hockey. And you know what? The Flames, while the schedule is tough, they've proven throughout the year that they can hang with teams other than Vegas.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm very sorry.
No, you're good.
It's the one team that they seem to not have any success against.
Okay, so let's move on here very quickly before we get into some trades that happened today. Before we get into the Flames game on Tuesday, tonight, I just want to let everybody know Vladar is starting tonight. Miromanov is not in the lineup tonight as well, as he is brought up for trade speculation. He could be heading out. Hanley is playing tonight. The only two that were really mentioned in terms of trade bait for the Flames. Everybody else is still kind of in, So, again, it's going to be Vladar starting tonight to end the 6-game road trip. Okay. So let's dive into what happened earlier today. We had 3 trades to really quickly break down. Let's start with the first one that we ended up seeing. It again deals with Neil's Devils here as they acquire Brian Dumoulin for the Winnipeg Jets 2nd-round pick. They will send to Anaheim along with prospect Herman
Trapp, who had a really strong World Juniors for Sweden this past year, I might add.
Awesome.
Just adding that. Yep.
Quick thoughts on Dumoulin to the Devils.
So the Devils have $13 million in cap space, yet they still were able to get retained salary. Does that do you not find that interesting? Do you not find that a tad bit interesting?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
It means one of two things. And this was brought to my attention. One is that Jonas Siegenthaler, who's currently on LTIR, is going to get removed from LTIR, which would bring the Devils' cap space down to about $8 million, which would be great if Siegenthaler's back. The sooner, the better. The other, which seems to a lot of people to be the more likely scenario, is that the Devils are still players to do something very big. I don't know what that means. You can say it's for Mikko Rantanen, and granted, with the stuff that we're hearing today, literally today, it seems more and more likely that Mikko Rantanen wants no part of being in Carolina beyond this year.
Well, to be more specific, that they weren't ready to discuss or make a decision. They weren't ready to make a decision, which and I got to give them that's fair because it's a short sample size in a short period of time between when he was traded. By the deadline. You have to make a decision now, kind of thing, because we need to move forward. It's like, no, I can take my time if I want to. And he's earned that. Mikko Rantanen,
he has earned that, and he's a proven winner. And he's more of a winner than the majority of the guys that are on the Hurricanes right now.
You got it.
So, and he hasn't played all particularly great in the short time that he's been in Carolina. I am still leaning on the belief that he will be a Hurricane by this time tomorrow. I will be a lot more surprised if it happens. Now, like I mentioned before, I think the Devils are players in practically everybody. Just at this point, I believe that they are going to add pieces. I believe Jared McCann is more and more likely to be a guy that they think the Devils would want. He's a guy that has term after the next. He has 2 years after this year, so you essentially could have him for 3 playoff runs. And the other thing with Brian Dumoulin, big thing that people just somehow forgot in the last 24 hours. Dougie Hamilton is probably going to be out about 3 weeks with an injury that he sustained in the Devils' last game against Dallas. There is no world where the Devils feel comfortable having 3 rookie/second-year defensemen, Luke Hughes, Shimon Nemec, Seamus Casey, as 3 of your 6 starting D-man. They're not going to do that. And Brian Dumoulin, he's a defensive defenseman. I literally have no issue with it. I have none. But I get it. It's frustrating to give up one of the 3 second-round picks and one of your top 5 prospects for a rental. Let's call it like it is. Now, is it possible that Brian Dumoulin re-signs after the year? Sure, like 100%. We'll see.
Okay, Neil, we got to move on soon. Sorry. I don't mean to cut you off.
Bottom line, okay, quick thoughts. Fine trade, move on, next one.
Okay, sorry. I was just like,
can we just talk about Tampa and get it over with?
No, it's fine. We'll get there. Very quickly again this morning to Michael Bunting to Nashville, Luke Shen and Thomas Novak.
I don't get it.
Today. I don't know. I mean,
I don't get it.
Here, I guess Shen's 35, Novak's 27, trying to get a tad younger. 1 year, he's going to expire this summer. I think it makes no sense. I don't get it.
I don't really see what the value for either team. I mean, okay, maybe for Pittsburgh, getting Tomas Novak is good. You know, they need a young. They need like young players.
Yes.
So there you go. You skipped one.
Okay. Oh yeah. Sorry. And then also.
Oh, never mind. I did see though, Nico. I don't know if it's on here yet, but Nico Sturm was traded to the Florida Panthers from San Jose.
It is further up. Yep.
Further up.
Okay. I just wanted to get down to this point here. Tampa made a big swing yesterday too. Oliver Bjorkstrand, Kyle LaCoin, a 5th round pick in the draft. I believe they also acquired Yanni Gourde, if I'm not mistaken, too.
They did acquire Yanni Gourde as well.
They got it through Detroit. So anyway, that includes
Yanni Gourde was a Detroit Red Wing for 5 minutes.
Yes, and then Michael Easton goes the other way to Seattle as you have 2 first-round picks going the other way. They are top 10 protected. If it is in the top 10, it'll get moved down to 1 more year, just like the Flames in their deal with the Devils. Quick thoughts on Yanni Gourde and Bjorkstrand heading to Tampa Bay and Seattle, retaining 2 first-round picks and a second from the Leafs.
I'd rather have a lineup full of good players than a bank of a ton of draft picks. And that was quoted by Lightning general manager Julien Brisebois. I mean, goddamn, dude, the Lightning just keep winning. I mean, that's a really good move. I like it a lot. Adding Bjorkstrand, bringing back Yanni Gourde, who's been there. The Lightning want to keep competing, and this is just proof of the pudding.
The way to do it. I like it.
Good on Ronnie Francis to get a couple first-round picks in this deal because Lord knows he needs it.
They need it. And it's a good way to get it. Who knows where Tampa's going to be in a couple of years from now, right? And maybe they aren't top 10 protected. So good on Seattle. Yes, I do have the Florida Panthers today did acquire Nico Sturm. I also did read that there was a goalie swap between, Winnipeg and Florida. Chris Driedger heading to Winnipeg, Kaapo Kähkönen come the other way to Florida. So that's not on here. That's one worth mentioning. Thoughts on this deal too as well with Sturm coming into Florida?
He just fits their lineup well. He's a big body center. We talked about him as a potential option for Calgary a couple months ago before obviously they made the Morgan Frost deal. And again, with the space that they have with putting Matthew Tkachuk on LTIR, I mean, it's a good move. I like it for Florida, just adding veteran presence. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. It's a good move. We did talk about him quite a bit too. So, he's a good fit really anywhere and on any contender too. So it's a good move. Yes. And San Jose gets a pick out of it. So there you go. Last one to look at today before we finally move on to a Flames game. Riley Smith heading back to Vegas for Brendan Brisson to the Rangers and a San Jose Sharks 3rd round pick that goes the other way to the Rangers. Thoughts on Riley Smith heading back to Vegas for another potential cup run?
I mean, again, they know Riley Smith. They know what he can bring to their lineup. They've had success with him. They won a cup with them. So yeah, no, good move for Vegas. As for the Rangers, I like that the Rangers are obviously still in the thick of things in terms of the playoffs. But they're also understanding and recognizing that they have to make moves to get younger. And you added Brendan Brisson, Brisson, I believe it's Brisson. Be interesting to see. His contract comes up at the end of the year, so it'll be interesting to see what the Rangers do about that. But Riley Smith really wasn't that good with the Rangers, if I'm being honest, and now he gets to go to a cup contending team, and gets to go back to a familiar place.
Okay, so that's good. I mean, it still feels like tomorrow's going to be a big day for trades, so I'm glad we saw that. Last thing before we move on to Flames Flyers on Tuesday, Andy Strickland has said cross LA off the list as a team that Rantanen would sign an extension with. So I don't know how he knows.
Why do players hate LA?
I don't know.
I want LA one time to make a huge move for a star player. And no, Pierre-Luc Dubois doesn't count.
It really doesn't. It honestly doesn't. It's hilarious. Okay, so
interesting. I have sort of something. There is a world where the Sabres are going to potentially get rid of J.J. Peterka and Dylan Cousins. And I'm going to tell you right now that if the Sabres do that and get rid of both of them, I don't know, man. Kevin Adams needs to go. I'm just going to also, I would love for the Flames at the last minute to make a call for Dylan Cousins.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, the Dylan Cousins door apparently is still open too, by the way.
Still open.
Who knows? It's still open. Okay. Tuesday night, there was a game, believe it or not.
Oh, was there? I could have sworn. I would have never guessed.
We had a game, believe it or not.
It was a fun game.
It was a crazy, crazy game.
But it was fun.
Flames jump out to a 3-0 lead. Then they made it interesting, letting Philly back into it. Of course, Andrei Kuzmenko scored. Why not? But the Flames decided they were pissed off of not scoring. They only had one goal in their previous 3 games. And they decided to score 6 because that's just who this team is. Flames win it 6-3 over the Philadelphia Flyers. The first period was a bit banana lands. Connor Zary ended up getting 2 goals, who, by the way, was on the 4th line to start the game. And by the way, he is listed as on the 4th line again tonight for the Flames. Not sure how I feel about it. Maybe that changes, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe they're just looking for fluidity. I don't know. Anyway, so Zary gets Potts 2 goals there. He gets his 12th of the year now. He's up to Nazem Kadri ends up getting 1 as well. And then a little bit later, it's Noah Cates, Kuzmenko with a awesome celebration, by the way, I might add. Sharon Govich managed to get 1 there at the end of the period just to find some sort of separation and not make this team sweat and worry. Morgan Frost had a great feed back to Mackenzie Weegar to put the team up 5-2. And then, Couturier ended up getting 1, but it was kind of too little too late at that point. Coronado found an empty netter. Matthew Coronado on his way to getting 20 goals this year. He's 4 goals away from that. So a good year for Matthew Coronado as he got it with just under a second left here to make it a 6-3 win. The last time the Flames met the Philadelphia Flyers, it was also a 6-3 win for the Calgary Flames in that game. So that's the trend they like to continue.
What the heck is happening?
I don't know. I don't know if you saw the highlights or anything for this game, but just thoughts on the Flames getting back into the win column with a big 6-goal outburst.
I think we need to crap on their scoring more often because, I mean, Jesus, man, right? We talked about it in the last episode that they needed to find a way to get going offensively. And, I mean, look, they potted 6 goals. And I told you, Kyle, if you remember, I said the Flyers were a team with struggling goaltending that you can get goals beyond. And they did. They what I love about it is that not only did they score 6 times, they had over 30 shots. It would have been one thing if maybe they finished with 20. I'd be like, all right, so clearly they got lucky. To me, that wasn't the case in this one. I felt that they were really good. What's really funny to me is the fact that they had all of 2 power plays in this entire game. And granted, they did score on one of them.
Ooh.
And we have
We do have news. Sorry, I'm just turning the heat down. Keep talking for 1 second. I'm dying in here.
Yeah. So honestly, at the end of the day, I felt that it was a good win for the Flames. Needed one. You needed to get a win against the team that you've had clearly a lot of success scoring against, and I'm really. I was just going to say I'm really pumped that Matthew Coronado, I think, is going to potentially get to 20 goals because I think he's really proven himself. He right now is definitely number one on my list of like most improved. Really happy for him. And Nazem Kadri lately has really been stepping up.
It's been good for him too. It's been a good year for Huberdeau and Kadri, kind of the two guys that you evidently have to look at in order to do something. Cole Parayko is out for 6 weeks for the St. Louis Blues.
The Blues are done.
That's going to hurt defensively at the very least because don't forget they lost Torrey Krug at the beginning of the season as well. So losing Parayko, not great. That likely means 6 weeks. He's probably out for the rest of the season. Might as well just said that. And probably hurts their playoff chances if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, overall, great bounce back win. I think they needed that. Overall in the road trip, you are now 2-2-1. Kind of weird after the 3-game stretch that they kind of went on there.
It's a strange road trip.
It's a strange road trip, but they can still finish above 500 of it with a win tonight in Dallas, and that's crazy to think about. But I mean,
what Backlund said today was like, if we can get a win tonight, that would be make it a successful road trip. And I think that's what I think that will just make Calgary feel like, okay, we're in this now. We're in this now. Let's go.
We're in this now. And then looking ahead, we probably won't get a chance to it, but they will be playing Montreal on Saturday. We'll get a chance to look at that on Monday. So Flames come back, obviously, after tonight against Dallas. And then just very quickly looking at the schedule coming up, guys. Massive game next week before things get really interesting in the month of March. You have the Canadiens on Saturday. The Flames have a couple of days off, which is good because Wednesday night I'll be live as the Canucks come to Calgary to take on the Flames in what is going to be. It's funny, like it's a big game, but if they go to overtime, it's a 1-point swing. You know, that's the silly part.
Exactly.
Just to name a few of the games coming up for you all: Canadiens, Canucks, Avalanche, Maple Leafs, Rangers, Devils, Islanders. That Rangers, Devils, Islanders is a road trip as well.
Honestly, I could probably do a couple of those Flames games since all of them are on TV.
Yeah, so they're going to be in Toronto on Wednesday the 17th. Was that Thursday the 20th in New Jersey? I think we were going to do that one anyway because Wednesday the 19th is my birthday. So I'll be going to
there you go.
There you go. Going to an OHL game.
He spends his birthday at an OHL game.
I don't really have a choice. I get to watch prospect Henry Muse though. So
all right. So you'll give us a in-person take, right? Like I
can give you one right now. I've seen him twice.
Oh, okay.
So, Flames prospect Henry Muse, who was picked last year. He was traded from the Ottawa 67s to the Sudbury Wolves, hence why I can go watch him now, and I'm excited.
Sure.
First impressions from him is his size. He's definitely, obviously with his points, he's an offensive defenseman. What I struggle him seeing, I know it's a different environment, and I know it's a new team, but he's got to kind of take over that kind of leadership role,
Sure.
It's and to be very quickly with the OHL, it's an Eastern Conference that's packed. Like everybody's so close to each other, right? Nice. So anybody can take it. But Henry Muse is a guy for me that just kind of needs to step up in a leadership type role, right? He needs to take that next step, right? And that's what I need to see. So anyway, that's just my quick little take on prospects. But Saturday big game. You got a chance to do it against Montreal, who's still fighting for a playoff spot. But obviously, everybody's looking at the radar on Wednesday for the Canucks. And they need a little bit of redemption, too, when Colorado comes into town next Friday. So a couple of days off between after the game on Saturday against Montreal until the game on Wednesday against Vancouver. We'll get all ready for that and ready to go. Okay. Wow, we got through that pretty good, actually. Not bad.
It was very good.
Not bad until I was like Neil rambled on about the freaking Devils for like 20 minutes.
Leave me alone. I'll have a lot more to say on Monday after
tomorrow too as well.
Yeah, I can talk about it. I think Did you see the thing? Elliot Friedman was on TNT last night for like a trade deadline rumor thing. Did you hear what his time is for like online? Like how long?
Like 20 hours or something
20
like that.
hours.
Screen time.
I don't know how one human like it. You know what's crazy? I think about it, right?
Yeah.
20 hours. What is Adrian Wojnarowski from the NBA? He's obviously not doing it anymore. What is his? Because here's why. Elliot Friedman will tweet until about like maybe 12:30 at night, and then nothing happens. In the NBA, there have been times where stuff has happened at like 3:30 in the morning.
And he'll break it.
And he'll break it like it was nothing. I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
All right. But good on him.
Very much so. All right.
You know what's like a fun thing, Kyle? If we have time, I want you to rank insiders from like worst to best.
You have to give me. You have to listen. If you want to get,
I'll give you 5 names. You can go from there.
We'll do it tomorrow on the stream.
Okay, we'll do it tomorrow.
Okay. For those of you who don't know, again, live stream tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern.
Please join us. It's going to be fun.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. Trade deadline. Okay, let's get to an ad break. We'll get to tonight's game, and then we'll look at maybe other news that possibly came up because we rattled through it all very quickly. We'll talk about the Flames trade deadline plans as well, too, as we did later this week. All right, let's do it. It might not feel like it, but spring is right around the corner. Everything's melting up here, and there's puddles everywhere. And I hit a major pothole, by the way, earlier this week. Not fun. I don't recommend doing that.
That sucks.
But you know how you can tell it's almost spring? The golfers are hitting the links, and we have some tournaments to talk to you about. Of course we do. And if you want to do more than just talk, put your money where your mouth is. It's time to get in on all the action, on all the tee to green action with DraftKings Sportsbook. From Thursday's opening round through the closing final round Sunday, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with tournament props, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. If you've never bet on golf before, it's easier than you think. You can just pick something simple like a golfer to win the tournament and make your pick. It's just that easy. It's the Arnold Palmer Invitational this weekend for those non-golfers, and for those golfers who do know, Scotty Scheffler's in the lineup. I'm more than likely picking Scheffler to win because that's just who he is. I just like Scheffler this weekend. Here's something special for first-timers, though. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. You can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN.
Get the injury special at McDonald's now. Let's break it down. My favorite barbecue sauce, American cheese, crispy bacon, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun, of course. And don't forget the fries and a drink. Sound good? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating restaurants for a limited time.
Again, for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. It's only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Okay. So Neil's kind of looking through socials, I'm guessing, to see if there's any more news. No news. Nothing. Beautiful. All right. Let's dive into tonight's game. We said it beforehand. It's a big way to finish off the road trip. You can't look too far ahead, obviously. And you can kind of tell by the way Backlund said it, just the way that the auras, quote unquote, going around the team going into tonight's game. It is a very big game to end the road trip because you want to finish it on a high, right? Mm-hmm. It's a tough environment to do it. They're going to have to face Jake Ottinger tonight as they're going to be in Dallas. So here is your pairings, lines, and goaltenders for tonight's game in Dallas. Again, we mentioned on Tuesday that they did put Connor Zary on the fourth line with Kevin Rooney and Ryan Lomberg. They do have Coronado up there with Kadri and Huberdeau. Pasta still getting up there with Frost and Sharon Govich. Farabee's going to be there with Backlund and Coleman. Again, Lomberg, Rooney, and Zary. No Miromanov tonight. He is being held out for trade purposes. He is likely a name that's going to be out the door tomorrow at some point. Don't expect a massive return, but he is a man that's going to be expected to go out the door. Hanley alongside Weegar. Kevin Ball again back with Anderson. Bean and Pahal on the third line there for the Flames. And again, Daniel Vladar will get the start tonight because Wolf got the last 2 starts on a very short back-to-back.
Yes.
Vladar, who was sensational on Saturday against Florida, is going to be put to the test again tonight in Dallas. Your thoughts just looking at the lineup sheet tonight?
Again, clearly Huska is trying to keep everything fairly what it's been working, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. Like you mentioned, Miromanov being, held out for trade purposes. Really going to be interesting, and we'll get into it in a minute. Going to be interesting to see what teams are interested, because I've heard literally nothing on my end, at least, about the value there. This is a huge game. This is a huge game because you're facing off against one of the better teams, not just in the Western Conference, but one of the cup contending teams out there in the NHL on the road, and you're going with your backup goaltender, or 1B as I like to put it. This would be such an awesome win. I don't even care if it has to go to a shootout or overtime.
Got it.
Find a way to get it, because the amount of you need that key win. And at this point in the year, especially with the deadline coming tomorrow, I feel like just for this group, getting that win is huge. And I'm going to be looking for the top six to be the ones that are going to carry this team in this one, with Huberdeau, Kadri, Coronado, Sharon Govich, Frost, and Pospisil. The one thing I'll say, stay out of the box. I know it's a cliche thing, but Dallas is really good at getting those little power play opportunities here and there, and they will make you pay.
I am so glad that you mentioned that. The Flames put the Carolina Hurricanes 0 for 5 on the power play on Sunday. They put the Flyers 0 for 4 on Tuesday. And you go into the box here against Dallas, you're more than likely going to pay here. That would have been the case on Sunday against Carolina, but you don't want to do it to this team.
You can't go into this routine of taking 3 or 4 penalties and expecting every time that your penalty kill is going to always kill it off. Eventually, you're going to give up one. It's just how it goes. It's a man advantage for a reason. I just would like, for once, for the team to give Vladar some goal support. That would be nice. Because in the last game that he played, I felt like he deserved a better fate. I felt like he played his ass off, and unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. And I'm a sucker for goaltenders. I was a goaltender, so I'm always backing them up. I to a fault, and I just would like to see Vladar get a key win,
or something. Yeah.
And I will say this: it says a lot about. I know. Again, Wolf played the last 2 games. I get it, but it says a lot that there is confidence there from Huska that I can put Vladar in net against one of the best teams in the thing, and there's a trade, isn't there?
We have breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Mikko Rantanen is out for tonight's game in preparation for a trade.
He's going to Florida. I'm calling it right now. He is a Florida Panther by the end of today.
Wow.
Carolina. Okay, can I rant? Can I please rant, Kyle? Can I have the floor to rant?
I'm going to put this up. Go right ahead.
Okay. Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, I've done it already.
Fuck Eric Tulsky. Dead ass. Fuck that guy. Because.
Oh. You know what?
No, you.
Oh. Yeah, I got fucking screwed again, actually.
Why?
Because this guy is Mark Mathers and not Mark Math. Yeah. All right, I got.
Oh, so it's not real.
I keep getting played.
Oh God. Never mind.
Sorry.
All right, so retract what I said. So until something actually happens, retract what I said.
This has happened so many freaking times though.
Well,
where I'm go away, man. Stop doing that to us.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I hate
I'm just trying to. I'm
okay, well, I was gonna say the one thing I can bring up is this: Mike Rupp.
Oh, we do have something.
Okay, we actually have something.
Brad Marchand is currently in extension talks with the Bruins as we speak.
Okay.
So, flip-flop. First of all, am I crazy? Isn't Marchand out, right? He's hurt, right?
He's hurt.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel like the value's less. Just
but also too, he was.
I wouldn't like this. I wouldn't like to see him get traded, if I'm being honest. I wouldn't like it. Now, the thing. Oh God!
He also has to improve it, though, right? Because I think he has no move.
I think the big thing with Rantanen is he is the sole reason that things have not escalated in terms of more trades. You're seeing teams there are teams that are not involved with Rantanen, like Tampa, for example, that are just like, we're doing our thing.
Yes.
Then there's other teams that are like not doing something. The two guys that are holding up the trade deadline in terms of other moves are Rantanen and Brock Nelson.
Yes.
I wish that the Rantanen thing wasn't a thing because I feel like the Brock Nelson situation is going to get resolved. I think it's more likely he'll end up staying on the island. That's just my personal.
Okay, we're going to find out.
But
I do actually have some news. Sorry.
Damn it. Damn it. I was so ready for a rant. Damn it.
You could be ready tomorrow. Who knows?
I could.
I do have news, though, because I saw Mike Rupp was on the Pat McAfee show today. Believe it or not, they're talking about hockey. Crazy. Mike Rupp.
Take this with a grain of salt, people. I'm being serious.
But this is coming from Mike Rupp, where he's saying, don't be surprised if the Golden Knights are in on Erik Karlsson tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't shock me.
Well, still. And he also did mention Rantanen as part of that, too. Like, they might be in
But I feel like Rantanen... I feel like Rantanen is a little bit more unlikely.
Yes,
and
it's
the reason
definitely
I
more
say
unlikely.
that is because I feel like with the package that, Carolina had to give up to get Rantanen,
yes,
I don't see them getting a similar package from Vegas. I don't.
I don't either.
Wouldn't it be funny as hell if he ended up on the Golden Knights and had to play Colorado in the playoffs?
The funny thing, that would be hilarious. The one funny thing they mentioned, though, was also on top of that, was if Karlsson did get dealt to the Golden Knights, they play in Pittsburgh tomorrow night.
There you go.
So that might.
And honestly, Erik Karlsson, I feel like definitely deserves the opportunity to still compete for a title. And I think that, I'll be honest with you, I think the Four Nations, the way he played and played very well, I think is the reason his stock is higher than it was last year.
His value is still up, absolutely. Two other notes I wanted to mention. One from Elliot Freeman. Okay. Sounds like Brandon Tanev does get the bubble wrap treatment tonight. He's going to be held out for trade protection reasons against Nashville. So Brandon Tanev's going to be held out tonight.
Not a surprise. He's a bottom six guy that I think a lot of teams would look for depth. He's not the best at scoring. So but he is physical and he's got speed. He's very fast.
Yeah.
Way faster than Chris, I'll tell you that.
The Leafs are also preparing for a move because they did just put Ryan Reeves on waivers.
Whoopee.
So they might be coughing up a first-round pick for Scott Laughton.
Wake me up when Mitch Marner gets dealt, okay? That's what I'm saying.
I know.
You know what? Give me that. I got it. I got it, Kyle. Here is the bombshell that everyone will love. 1-for-1. Mitch Marner for Mikko Rantanen.
That'd be crazy if it was.
Would that not be awesome in a way? Honestly, I'd be sick.
I do have another something because we're kind of getting to that point at the end of the show, but I do have.
I got a football breaking news.
Okay, tell me afterwards. Aaron Dreger, who is an insider for TSN. Good luck defining who's in and who's out involving the possibility of a Rantanen trade. The Hurricanes are working on options. Multiple teams are in the mix. Trade and extension is absolutely on the table. However, no guarantee at this moment Carolina pulls the trigger. That's
agree.
What we know. So there you go. That's what we know.
So if you were to guess, Kyle,
okay,
just taking a guess, how many teams do you legitimately believe are in on Rantanen right now? You tell yours, and then I'll say how many I think.
Legitimately in on Rantanen.
Yes.
3. I would say Vegas because they would be the type of team to do that.
Because it's Vegas. Yep.
Vegas. I'll say Dallas because I think they need to make a move. I think Dallas because they need to, because you saw how close they were in the final last year, getting upped by Edmonton. They might see this as maybe a window, right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And also they were reported being in on it.
Oh.
I think the Leafs are in on it too.
Yeah.
I do. And I say that because Tampa made a big move. Florida made a big move. Toronto, I think, at this point.
Toronto hasn't made a big move yet.
At this point, the picks and the prospects don't matter, right?
Of course
They
not.
could very well be in a position, depending on what they do between now and 3:00 tomorrow, to give themselves the best chance to make a deep run. I think they're absolutely in on this too.
Yeah, I was more like on the idea of like 5 or 6 teams that have a legitimate shot. It just depends on the package.
Sure.
Because it hasn't really been put out there what exactly the Hurricanes are looking for. I don't think they're looking for something specifically. I think what they're looking for is basically, can we get a blowaway deal from somebody?
Yes.
Now, I will say this. If you're going to trade Rantanen, do not talk to any Eastern Conference team. I just say that because you don't want the risk of getting whatever you get and then facing Rantanen in the playoffs at some point. This is what I said from like New Jersey's perspective. Why would you trade within your own division, send a guy that you may very well have to face in the first round? And I will say this, if Eric Tulsky really does this, and they don't really get the world's greatest offer, and they don't get it done in the playoffs, because they damn sure have to go far, I think he should be fired, just being frank. Because this would be the second star player that you acquired and then let walk out the door for very little to nothing. You didn't keep Jake Gensel.
Right.
You want to stay. And now Rantanen's kind of on the fence.
I don't get it because...
You think it's a money thing? Do you think it's just money? I don't think it is.
They're making a mistake because... Well, I don't think it's a money thing. I think it's like... I think
it's a fit thing.
Sure, it could be a fit thing, but you pulled the trigger. You were the one, in Eric Tulsky, to pull the trigger, right? And make this massive trade, right?
Right.
You're a month in and you're already looking... Like, to me, like, you're stuck with it now. That's the way I see it. There might be suitors out there, but I think the bigger question going into tomorrow by 3:00, if this hasn't been done by then, is the value of the trade going to be the same? And I just can't see it, right? I can't see it. Like, if Carolina was that worried, you just lost a guy in Martin Necas and Jack Drury, right, who are doing fairly well over in Colorado right now. So I can't see him moving. Like, you made this to go on a cup run, right?
Right.
To me, it's like you're committed to this, right? And if you do this, right, and I don't think it matters who they get back, right? You're stuck with that. So that's I don't know. That's just the way I see it with that.
Your guess is as good as mine, and with him, with Rantanen, it's. I think the only thing, I think from just a fan perspective, to have all that build up and then nothing happen.
Sure.
Which as hockey fans, we're used to that being the case anyway.
Fair enough. Let's wrap it up with this, though. Outside of Miromanov, who is on the trade block here, there were talks about Joel Hanley, who was a waiver claim, and he could possibly get picked up. Doesn't sound like the Flames are going to do it. And also, based on what Chris Johnson said yesterday on TSN, that there was teams contacting about Rasmus Andersson. He's not going to get moved. He's going to wait until the offseason to figure out whether it's going to be an extension or they want to deal him. They also said same things with all the veterans. He went down the list, he said veterans that included Jonathan Huberdeau, Nazem Kadri, Mackenzie Weegar, Blake Coleman, all that. They won't be touched tomorrow either. Your thoughts on the veterans not being touched, and if the Flames, outside of Miromanov, because that's the way it seems like it's going to go, are they done yet?
To answer the first part of the question, I don't have a problem with the veterans not really being made available. Saying that is not the correct word. Basically, there's like nothing happening with that. A lot of it just doesn't surprise me because I think also the Flames are looking at it the way that you and I are looking at it. Like, why can't they make a run and get into the playoffs?
That's a bit of a... to get in the playoffs. Yeah.
To get in the playoffs. Yeah, that's... No, that's not a clippable moment. What I just said. That's fine. The Miromanov thing. I mean, he's going to get dealt. I think you end up getting a pick or two. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what his market is. So it'll be interesting to see like who is the one that makes the deal.
Sure.
Other than that, we talked about it before. Their deadline deal was made a month ago. Like
that was it. Like that.
The Morgan Frost deal was the deal that Craig Conroy wanted to make, and you know what? He did it before any of the pressure of anything else and other guys being picked up left and right. He did what he wanted to do. He got it done, and I think Conroy's going to sit there today and tomorrow and just kind of let things play out.
Me too.
If somebody wants whether it's Miromenov or whomever, he'll listen and he'll make a deal and he won't. I don't think Flames fans should be upset if nothing else happens after that. I really don't, because unless you're getting a blowaway deal for somebody, which I don't know who would get a blowaway deal, but it is a seller's market.
It is.
I don't see. I think the Flames would be one of those teams that like not a lot really happens, and that's okay. It's okay to like not be active in the deadline when you don't really need to.
Let's put it this way: if there was a blowaway deal that we can't say no to, it would have been done already. Yeah. And there's still time, right?
Right?
And there's lots of time for it. Who knows? But it has to be one of those like, I can't say no to this type deal, and I'm going to make them look stupid for doing it. Like that's the only possible situation where Craig Conroy is going to look at that, right? Exactly. Yeah, for sure. So, okay, I think that's going to kind of wrap it up. Was your NFL news going to be Trey Hendrickson, by the way?
Yeah, it's true.
I just saw that pop up too. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting.
That's lots happening in the NFL. Everybody getting cut.
Yeah, fuck DK Metcalf.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting.
He goes for a first and a third. That's the price. That's the price.
Kind of sad, really.
I don't hate it, depending who he goes to.
No, I know. It depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah, he wants to go to a contender, but it's kind of like no.
No, he's gonna end up on the Raiders.
I know. Well, it's also like he wants to go to a contender. I look at him and go, "You have a say how."
The Seahawks could give a rat's you know what about it.
We don't care if you want to go to a contender or not.
They're not just going to trade him to the Chiefs for nothing.
Right. Like, you don't get to make that decision. Sorry. You're the one who wants out. We're going to do what's best for our team. We can get a first-round pick inside the top 10. Who knows?
I just want to wrap up by saying one thing. I wish that the NHL could make trades like they do in junior hockey, where a guy gets traded for about 10 first-round picks at a bus. Like, honestly, that sounds amazing to me. Like, no, that really did happen. Somebody got traded for a bus. And I'm like, why is that a thing? Why is that? And I'm thinking to myself, like, does the draft, like, not matter in junior hockey? I guess it doesn't. They could give it, like...
It doesn't.
I gotta look up. I'm going to look up after this. I'm going to look up who was somebody who was drafted number 1 overall in juniors and then also drafted number 1 overall in the NHL.
Okay. Also, if you want to see picks, just like on a recent one, go look at the Henry Muse trade that was made. It was from the Ottawa 67s to the Sudbury Wolves, if you want to look at it, because there were so many picks involved.
Oh, wait. Was that OHL, right?
OHL, yeah. Henry Muse, Flames prospect, who was traded from the Ottawa 67s to the Sudbury Wolves.
Nice.
Yeah. It was a lot of picks. It was probably like, I think there was probably...
they have a trade deadline? It's a thing?
Yeah, of course. They do in the WHL, in the Quebec League. Oh, yeah, it's the same. It's all the same.
Interesting. What if
they actually have 2 drafts. They have an import draft, like for North American players, and they also have a international draft, right, to bring in international players as well.
Traded by the Ottawa. Here you go. I found it.
A lot of picks.
Jesus.
I know.
What is this?
Can I?
All of them are half of them are conditional, which is hilarious.
Can I hear it?
It was the Sudbury Wolves receive Henry Muse.
Yes.
While the Ottawa 67s get Nolan Jackson, a 2027 second-round pick, another 2027 second-round pick, a 2025 third, a 2027 third, a 2025 fifth, a 2028 seventh, a 2027 eighth, and a 2027 ninth. And 3 of those are conditional. And basically, it looks like that everybody, all Flames fans, were like, this is an awesome move.
I was excited because, like, having been in Sudbury for the last, like, 6 years,
kind of sick.
They need it, like, right. But it's, I think you don't understand, like, in these small towns, right, where, at least for us here, like, I have to travel 3 hours to go see a Leaf game, which I know, right? Or 4 hours to go to Buffalo, right? But in a lot of these small towns, like OHL, Quebec League, and WHL, like, this is what they have, right? And this is what it creates, right? And you probably know it too with small towns and all that. But for the Sudbury Wolves specifically, like, they needed to do something because they've been known in the past to not do a damn thing, right? And that's the whole thing. So, all right,
just Jesus, that's so many picks. You met if they did it in the NHL, somebody's getting fired.
Of course,
that's so many picks.
All right, that's going to wrap it up. Kyle's got a meeting in about 5 minutes. So, yes, we will be live 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning for Deadline Day. It should be fun. Neil will be there. I think James from Offside Hockey Talk is also going to be there as well.
Fantastic.
It's going to be good. Neil, good work today. Love it.
You as well.
And, it's going to be an exciting day tomorrow. And who knows what happens between now and 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Flames are winning 3-2 tonight, by the way. That's my prediction.
Ooh, good prediction. Okay. I'll say I see they go to overtime as well, actually. I think they keep it low.
I didn't say overtime though. I think we're getting 2 win. I think we get 2 points in reg.
I'll say overtime. 3-2.
Fair enough.
All right. It's gonna wrap it up. We will see you all Monday to recap this one and the Canadiens game on Saturday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great trade deadline day tomorrow for those of you who celebrate it. Later, everybody.
Later, guys.
Get the Angel Reese special at McDonald's now. Let's break it down. My favorite barbecue sauce, American cheese, crispy bacon, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun, of course. And don't forget the fries and a drink. Sound good? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating restaurants for a limited time.